you need to be thinking about your business and saying, well, in this current environment, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are the opportunities going to be? And then what are the threats that are going to get there? And I think it's worthwhile writing down. I get my clients to write down, what are their major concerns at the moment? So how do we just get those out there? You know what I mean? And get them out on the table and say, this is what's really worrying me.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. The next part of our presentation, and that's actually the main billing. So I would like to introduce us all to Russell Cummings. Russell owns a business called Shift. He's been a business coach for many years. I was going to say decades, but I thought that might be a better reverence, so we'll just say many years. And he's worked through businesses with that have been through sort of up times and down times over the time that he's been working. And so today he's going to sort of chat to us about how to survive, adapt, and thrive. So I think you've got a presentation there, so if you can probably grab the screen, can you, Russell, to share?
I think so, Nick, yeah.
Perfect, all right.
So
okay, well, let's put our hands together for Russell.
Virtual hand clap, excellent. All right, so thanks very much for having me along tonight, Nick. Fantastic to be here. Interesting times that we're amongst at the moment. As Nick said, I actually did click over some decades. So I clicked over 35 years as a management consultant and coach a week ago. I keep telling people I started when I was 12, but it's only a bit of a lame joke now. So that's where we're at. Tonight, I just want to talk to you about business strategies for COVID-19. And, there's no one size fits all for any of this stuff. So I just thought I'd work you through some stuff. And talk through some stuff. So I just set my little clock here to make sure that I don't go too much over time. As Nick said, work with a wide range of companies. I guess the companies I work with are family and privately owned businesses that want to grow. And I'm based here on the Gold Coast at Burleigh Heads. Have lived all over Australia before that. Probably the names I've worked with would be Bundaberg Brew Drinks, the ginger beer guys. They've been a client of mine for over a decade. Did a lot of work with Shine Lawyers before they listed, Morgan Stockbrokers, those sort of companies, but lots of small family-owned businesses that you probably haven't heard of. So let's just talk about some strategies for moving forward. I guess, we're in this phase now of COVID-19 and it's changing things. So it's going to change businesses, I think, irreparably or irreversibly for quite a long time. All of a sudden having sessions like this online instead of face-to-face are going to become the norm. So there's going to be lots of new normals, I think, drop out of it, which is going to make things quite interesting moving forward. Just so you know where we're heading here, the government's trying to prevent this big spike here, which, if this line here is the level of medical support, they're trying to keep the level of infection below that. And we're in interesting times, and the modelling that I've seen that seems most likely is what they call this rolling pandemic map, where we're going to see tighter controls around business and transport and all sorts of other things that we can do. And then as the infection rate starts to drop away, they'll relax those controls, but in doing so, we're going to see more tightening, and we're likely to see this sort of tighten, relax sort of process in what they call a rolling pandemic. And I think that's important to think about for our business, because it's not necessarily just going to be everybody's just going to open the taps and it's all going to flow again. So I think it's important that we think through what your reactions might be and your strategies might be for these different these different scenarios. So at the moment, I'm saying these are options, but they're probably more business styles at the moment. I'm finding there's sort of three pretty clear categories of business that I'm seeing and working with. Some of them are going strong, where the business is going well. Sales could actually be improving or pretty stable at the moment. Typically some sort of food processing and manufacturing businesses, health, medical services, transport, logistics, home, accountants, all that sort of stuff. So the business that's going well. Got a lot of businesses in this okay but uncertain. So business has taken a little bit of a hit, but it's rolling along. It's okay at the moment, but we're a bit uncertain about what's going to happen in the, anything past the immediate short term. And then we've got a whole heap of businesses that have hit the wall. So just give me some feedback into the chat area if you like, or put a thumb up if you're in the going strong area. Actually, I don't know even where to find the thumbs up stuff, Nick, but it might appear to me.
It's down the bottom. There's a little reactions icon on the right hand side.
Okay, that's where everybody else has got it, but yeah, it's disappeared from now I'm in presentation mode. Anyway, that's okay. Yeah, just, I guess, yeah, probably too hard to get us to share on that at the moment, but, we've got some those different businesses, and what I'm seeing then is this sort of pattern. So this is not a continuous line, by the way. So the going strong guys are businesses where it's sort of, it's either improved and it's starting to climb, which is all really good. The okay but uncertain ones, it's going along okay, but it could fall off a cliff. And there's a number of businesses have gone through this at the moment. So we've had a drop in sales, and then there's people whose businesses just have fallen down to the ground and are just not moving forward. And each of those different types of businesses requires a different strategy in this process. So let's just talk a little bit about some of that. Now, if you want to go to my website, which is shiftwith2fs.com.au, you'll find we've got a business survival guide there. It's just a checklist of things that you probably need to have thought through. Not all of them are relevant for all businesses, but it's just a checklist. So my clients will find it's been a handy checklist just to tick through. A lot of you will be past that point of this, I guess, at the moment, but it might prove useful for some of you. Also, lots of free resources there, so we've got all sorts of stuff there. So log on and have a look. It covers, 25 key tasks, from, setting up a bit of a war room. So I've got clients where we've set up war rooms to, doing expense reviews and transportation, logistics, and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a checklist of things to move through. All right. So let's talk a bit about the strategies for your business. I guess if there's, we might just stop for a second. Are there any questions at this point? Just to open the mic up if you'd like. Okay, no, that's all good. Fantastic. All right, so let's just push on and talk about, your strategy. And part of that is working out, well, where are we now? So some tools that I'm using with clients here is to make sure that we understand our business well. So now's the time to just, stop, prop, and reflect and think about your business, and do some detailed analysis. So a good time to do a bit of analysis at the moment to get your head around where's your business right at this minute. And some of it, we've got some online diagnostics that you can log on to. Part of the website, if you just log on to the free resources, you'll see the business diagnostic there, 25 questions, nothing commercially sensitive, and it'll give you some insights into areas that you might need to think about in your business. Business environmental scan, I'll talk about in a second. The same with the business canvas. The SWOT analysis, the great old SWOT analysis, what a great tool. But if you think about COVID-19, you need to be thinking about your business and saying, well, in this current environment, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? what are the opportunities going to be, and then what are the threats that are going to get there. And I think it's worthwhile writing down. I get my clients to write down, what are their major concerns at the moment? So how do we just get those out there? You know what I mean? And get them out on the table and say, this is what's really worrying me. So let's just talk about some of these tools as we go here. So the first one is a business environmental scan. And I think this is a really important thing to do for a second. Too often we just don't take the time to think about the environment that we're currently working in. And I just use this simple value chain model when I'm talking with my clients and say, righto, let's think about what's happening in terms of suppliers. So you start down this sort of left-hand side down here. So what's happening with suppliers to our industry? And they could be, material suppliers, services, could be government, could be all sorts of stuff. But what's actually happening in there? Are there any things that are happening that are going to impact on our business? What's happening in our industry? So are there changes happening across our industry that are worth considering? Consolidations, expansions, that sort of stuff. Businesses disappearing. These could create great opportunities for us in the future. So I've already got clients where we're sitting back and saying some of our competitors may not come out of this too healthily, and they're competitors we've looked at buying in the past, and it could create a great opportunity for us to expand our market share. Channels and direct customers. So these are direct customers are if you sell a product, say through the supermarket chains, then Woolworths would be a direct customer for you, or Coles or Aldi or whoever, and they sell it on your behalf onto an end consumer. So understanding what's happening with those direct consumers, direct customers can be really important, or any particular channels that you work through. So I've got clients where we have export channels, domestic channels, and we're looking and those export channels, some of them are very different under coronavirus and what they've been. So it's worthwhile just taking the time to stop and reflect and think about what's really happening. And then the last, what's happening with your end consumers. And I'm finding lots of people are underestimating what's happening to their consumers. We're often not, we're thinking that everybody's right and everybody's got heaps of money. But at the moment, I've noticed that some of my clients that sales have dropped away when they thought they wouldn't, simply because some of our consumers obviously are back on the $750 a week subsidy from the government, which is a significant pay cut for them. And and looking at options and shutting down their spending at the moment. So think about the end consumer. Do they actually have some of the cash in order to help you out? So this is a great analysis because it can really help you get your head around where are some of the opportunities going to appear for us, and where are some of the risks for us that we need to think about. I'll just talk about this next tool, and then we'll ask a few questions. So the chance to ask a couple of questions about these. This is a simple tool called a business model canvas, developed by a gentleman called Osterwalder. And it's really simple, and it's so simple I just love it. And a great way to do it is actually to print it out on an A1 sized template. So you can just go to Officeworks and they'll print you an A1 size, or your local printer. Often they have A1 plan printers in black and white. Print it out, and then you just use post-it notes to put points all over it, rather than writing on it. It's easy if you just put post-it notes because you can pick them up and move them around and do different things with them. But basically it says, what customer segments do we have? What relationships, and how do we build those relationships with customers? What's our value proposition? So what's the stuff that's really important that our clients value about what we do, and how do we deliver that? And then what are the channels for delivery of that service and or communicating with that client segment, with that customer segment? And so we end up with this sort of circular model back to customer segments. From that, we can build revenue streams and think about, different products, different revenues, all that sort of stuff. So it's quite simple. You then go, okay, that's our value proposition. What are the key activities that we need to build out and create that? Who are the key partners and the key partnerships that we need to work with? And then lastly here, what are the key resources that we need in order to pull that off? And that feeds into your cost structure. And there's a great app that you can get for your iPad, which is absolutely brilliant for doing this. It allows you to drag around little sticky notes and put them everywhere, and it's got some budgeting software and everything else built into the bottom of it. So you can very simply get an idea of what your business model currently is. And that's important because, in a little minute, we're going to talk about, well, where are the opportunities here? So what are the opportunities for us to have a different customer segment or a different value proposition, or to use different resources or different partners? And a COVID, environment, it might mean you actually need different partners to what you've got at the moment. So thinking about those sort of things. So I'm just going to stop for a sec. So any questions that you've got around these? Yeah. I'm having trouble reading them here. Yeah. Yeah, so the business model canvas, I'll actually make sure you get some resources at the end of this presentation, if you like. But there's actually some videos on my website with the business model canvas on it. But Google's your friend here. If you type business model canvas into Google, you'll find there's a ton of them. Some really good, simple videos by a gentleman. It's called Osterwalder, OST. EWALD ER. I'll type it into the thing. So yeah, so his name is Osterwalder, and he's got some great stuff. He's actually written a couple of really good books as well. So he's very popular in this area. Yeah. Yeah. So if you go and look some of this stuff up on my website, which is shift.com.au, you'll see it under videos, under free resources. You'll find there's one there on business model canvas. But I'll make sure that we circulate some of this information via Nick to you guys. Is that an appropriate way to do it, Nick?
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, anything you want to shoot through, we'll organise to get it through to them, probably on Facebook or by email somehow.
Okay, cool, easy. All right. So so any questions just about the environmental scan or the business model canvas? I think they're a great place to start, and just to get a clear picture of what's really happening in your business. And they're probably two extremely simple but powerful tools. All right, no further questions, and we'll just push on a bit. So then if we start thinking about where do we want to be, so if we've analysed our business where we are now, and we can start to think about our strengths and our weaknesses, opportunities, threats, all the things that drop out of this, then where do we want to be? And as Nick said at the start, I'm sort of working around this model of survive, adapt, and thrive. So I'm finding most businesses are fairly heavily into the survive mode at the moment. So we're sort of battling down the hatches. We're trying to work out what the hell's going on and doing things before we're starting to sit down and go, okay, if that's the new thing, how are we going to adapt to this, and what are we going to change? So people are still finding their bearings, if you like, and very few people are thinking about this thrive phase. But yeah, I'm keen we start thinking about that sooner rather than later, and we'll talk about that more in a sec. So survive for me is about planning for key eventualities, and let's just talk about some of these things. So the current, market conditions are all over the place. I would suggest you access all the relevant, support programs that you can find, government, private support, all that sort of stuff. There's a fair bit of stuff around. And it's a lot of it requires you have existing business or existing capital to get you through. But I'd be just making sure you're getting access to all the stuff that's certainly relevant for you and your business at this current time. One of the key things I've got my clients to do is think through what I call a trigger point budget. And it's a simple concept, but it's really powerful. And I actually use this in the GFC with a number of clients. And my background's actually in agriculture many years ago. I was a farm consultant, and we used to use this as part of our drought planning, a very similar methodology in terms of drought planning, which I did 25, 30 years ago. Basically what the model says is, and this is all about cash, right? So at the moment, cash is king. So cash income and cash costs are what's, because cash flow is really important. So to keep that going, depreciation is not going to help you get anywhere. it's a tax issue at the moment, but if you don't make any money, you won't pay any tax. So let's just talk cash. Really important that you say, righto, what's my current level of cash costs to run the business? All right. So let's assume this is pre-COVID. You'd say what my current level of business was this. And then as sales fall and they get back closer to this cash cost point, you have a decision point, right? So you say, when sales get to this point here, we're going to have to make a decision, which gives us a little bit of time for implementation here. And that decision will involve some actions. And for argument's sake, those actions could be, at the moment, let's put some of our loans on hold, equipment finance, different things on hold, car leases, whatever. And let's take as much of the government programs as we can, which have the potential to reduce our costs, right? So we reduce our costs down to a point. And then you say, but if that's where it reduces our cost to, the next trigger point comes when income gets close to that trigger point. And therefore we might have some other actions. And that could be laying off some of our team, or moving them all to the $750 program if that works for us. It could be letting some people go. It could be employing more people. There's a whole heap of different actions that we could put in here. Probably employing people doesn't really help you out at that point. So again, you drop your costs again, and you've got another thing. So it's about making these decisions in the cold, hard light of day, out in the sunshine, where it's actually easier to make them well in advance. So you can say, this is what we'll do if it gets to that point. This is what we'll do. Because what I find is that people make really poor decisions when they're under pressure. Yeah. So if you're under lots and lots of pressure to make decisions, and if you've got staff, then I'm sure you're concerned about them and the welfare of their families and stuff, then it's hard to make some of these decisions when the pressure's on. And it's much easier if you say, okay, we said we'd make these actions at this point. You can then review them and say, are they still relevant, and should we move ahead? So it's a trigger point budget. My suggestion is that every one of you should have some understanding of the decision points. The reason I say that is because I've had clients in the GFC certainly, and it's also in coronavirus, where we've actually jumped from back here straight down to here. And, sales fell that quickly for them, but we'd already made some of the decisions early on, so it was relatively easy to make some of those calls and to communicate that effectively to our team. So, any questions about the trigger point budgets before we move on? Okay. All right. So that's good. Let's see. So that's sort of survival stuff. So, just get access to all the programs you can, hibernate your business as best you can to deal with it with the current level, because I'm finding at the moment that for lots of businesses, it's the level of income settled down to sometimes a very unacceptable level, but it's certainly settled down to something that gives us a bit of stability, and it might be stable at 30 or 50% of what your previous sales were, but at least that's the level of money that you've got to deal with. And then we can start to think about how we're going to adapt and make the best of this situation. So in this adapting phase, I really want to think about a couple of things. The first is that many people have what I call a copycat business, right? So if I don't know if there are any physios online, but I'll pick on physios tonight. So if you're a physiotherapist, you go to university, you come out as a physio. What do? You don't really know anything about business, because they don't teach you anything about business at physiotherapy school, or very little. And then you come out and you go, I'm going to set up a business just like every other physio, because that's what everybody else does. So you've got the same products, the same services, the same pricing, the same everything else. All that's different is your logo and the name of your business, and of course, your personality quirks that come with it. So the copycat business is what we end up with. As a result, you often get the same financial returns, have the same issues, the same problems, the same headaches as everybody else in the industry, because we've not taken the time to stop, prop, and think about how we create a business that's either, I'm going to say truly unique, but is a much more unique business that has some differentiators in it. And what are the things that we can start to think about when we're in this adapting phase? And this is why it's important you go back to your business model canvas and that environmental analysis, because, you know, you need to review that business model. Now's the time to think about that business model and review the opportunities and where the opportunities start to arise from. So I find it's easier to start here at this differentiation piece. And if you think about it, you know, it's pretty much the 5 or 6 P's of marketing, but you know, can we do something with a different target market? What could we do that's a bit different for that target market? So, or it might be changing. It may be a target market that you've serviced in the past, but that you're going to put some effort into. I had an opportunity come to me this morning for a target market that I've been servicing, but it's not a big part of my business. But their industry is still fairly vibrant, and some industry people have come to me and said, "Hey, can you give us a hand to do something here? We want to do something a bit different in this COVID environment." So that's good. You know, I heard a great story this morning about from a colleague of mine who does marketing. Client of his is sort of like the Steve Irwin of science, and did all these school-based programs running around doing science in schools. He actually had, you know, business booked out to October. That all stopped. Apparently he's taken it online, started doing webinars, getting a couple of thousand people a day to his webinars now, making significant revenue by selling products online that he wasn't selling. And he's got a completely different target market. So he's now getting people from all around the world accessing his programs and doing his stuff. And you know, homeschooling and all these things, that people are looking for something different. So he's taken you know, he's got a completely different target market to what he had before. It was all schools before, but he's now actually dealing with parents and different people. So think about your target market or your avatar, and how could you do something sort of different there. And this is a simple model that I use for avatars. Again, this stuff's on my website. I've done plenty of these sort of videos in the past. You know, really understand your avatar, particularly understand what their frustrations and fears are in this coronavirus time, and what their wants and aspirations are, and then how you might be able to help them. So think about your avatars and your targets. The next thing to think about then is I'd have to. I'm sorry, I can't remember his business name. I'll try and find it for you. Yeah, I was just on another hookup this morning, and this guy was talking about it. It's something science, but yeah, I'll try and find that for you. Yeah. So the other thing to think about then is a product strategy, and what can we do different in terms of our product. And this is an example here around jets, but really the product strategy piece for me is, you know, think about your business and how can you adapt your product to this coronavirus thing. So, you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was, he's not a client, but I've been doing lots of mentoring for people with different businesses, and had some opportunity to talk to some people who are running restaurants, and now looking at takeaway. And we came up with some ideas, which interestingly, the guy I was talking to decided that they weren't much chop, and he didn't think they were very good ideas. And they were to, instead of delivering meals to people, if all these people are going to be stuck at home, why wouldn't we try and give them some of what we've got, but in their home, and give them kits for them to cook gourmet meals at home with video training and stuff. So we can actually have that kit delivered to them, so we don't have to worry about, you know, getting hot meals to people and all that sort of stuff. Why wouldn't we do that? And apparently there's a restaurant in Melbourne started it about the same time I thought of it, and they're doing just as well as they were doing when the doors were open, because they've got, you know, no costs in terms of things, and they're delivering high quality product to people. The other thing to think about, I think, you know, another one with restaurants that I've heard about is, you know, some people I know ordered some takeaway from their favorite sort of 4 or 5 star local restaurant. When it turned up, it was in just a, you know, horrible old polystyrene tray, just like you'd get from a $10 Uber Eats burger with chips, and it was supposed to be gourmet food, and they were so disappointed. They paid a fair bit of money for it, and they thought it was going to turn out to be lovely, and it wasn't. So how can you make sure that you're still giving a 5-star service, if to match your food? And I'm using restaurants as an example, but think about your product. How can you change it? How can you adapt it? And what could you do differently? What elements of it can you deliver online? I'm a keen motorbike rider. I noticed that Indian motorcycles in America have now gone to very, very quickly, I think for a large organization, a system where you can basically click online, completely tailor and customize your bike online, and they deliver it to your house, so you don't have to go anywhere near the dealer. You have to get out, you don't have to travel, they'll bring it straight to you. So how can you modify things, and how can you be, I guess, a bit more adventurous in that space, and are there often? There you go. So so product strategy is one. The other thing to think about is pricing. There are 5 common tools for setting pricing. For me, it's cost plus, which is the standard way that accountants do things, where they will say to you, hey, let's add up all the costs, let's put a margin on it for profit, and that becomes your price point. Okay, so that's the standard way of doing things. Another one is recommended retail price, where it's basically set by the supplier, who says we're selling Mars bars for $2.50, and that's a recommended retail price, and that's what you should sell it for. And they do that with cars and other things, right? Competitor pricing is where people price around what the competition's doing. That is really dangerous, because some of your competitors can be bits of donkeys. No disrespect, but they can, with quite poor business skills, and start making crazy decisions on pricing that mean they're not making any money. So you got to be really careful about following the competitors down. Market will bear pricing is where you then sit down and say, this cost me $6 to make. The competitors are selling it for $8, but geez, ours is a premium product, and it's got all this great stuff, and we do all this online training that comes with it and stuff. I reckon we can sell it for $12, and that's what the market will bear. And that, if you think about it, that's what happens with cars and those sorts of things, where you pay a premium for the perceived badge engineering that goes into BMWs, Mercedes, Rolls Royces, Maseratis, whatever your poison is, those sorts of things over great cars, Toyotas, Hyundais, but they don't have the brand cachet that the others come with. But they've picked up on that in that branding. And the last one's target pricing, which is more about startups launching, but it's about where you say, if we set the price at this point, it will mean that we pick up the biggest market share. And to make the profit margin we want to make, that means that our costs need to be this. What have we got to cut out or eliminate and change out of our product or service in order to be able to deliver it for that cost, and therefore that profit margin and that price point? So it's an interesting one. So that's how you calculate your pricing. So what level your pricing is. The other thing to think about then is how you collect your money, right? And the typical ones are things like do and charge. So you do things on an hourly rate. The others are fixed price, which is a set price that includes time and materials, often sort of piecework. Commissions, percentage of revenue or cost. One that's been really popular lately is subscription. So my services, I've been using subscription for about 20 odd years now. But I also buy underwear from a company called Nobby on subscription. We get our toilet paper from Who Gives a Crap. I get my razors from a company called the Dollar Shave Club. My daughters get their feminine hygiene products from a service. So all these subscription services that turn up every month, you get a certain amount of product delivered. So can you change? And then the other one's a volume-based thing. So what could you do differently to get a completely different outcome from your pricing? So how could you really differentiate yourself in the marketplace? I mean, who would have thought you could buy your underwear on a subscription service, So just think differently about these things. And pricing is one of the clear ways for you to differentiate your product in the marketplace, but also to make sure that you've got a completely different a way of collecting the cash, which may, take out some of the ups and downs and cash flow and things for you, because you just get a set amount come in every month, for a subscription or something else. So think about pricing. Are there innovations you can do in pricing? All right, and then how do you package some of this stuff up? Can you pull together packages of products and services and that sort of stuff? So the car industry's done this for a long time, where you get, free servicing with your car. Everybody knows it's not free, but it's bundled in there because it makes it harder then to compare prices across models, across brands. When the other guy may not include free servicing, or includes a different level of servicing or warranty or something else. So, the smart businesses are businesses where you combine a product with a service, or a service with a product. So what could you do to add in stuff? And what I'm thinking of is, how do you add in things to, let's say you've got a service, how can you add in products, a small product, for argument's sake, that is high in perceived value but doesn't cost you that much to deliver, and how do you add that in? So you might add in, training. So I'll give an example. Before COVID, I probably 20-30% of my revenue every year would come from large training programs for organizations. And what I'd often do there was deliver a face-to-face program, but I've got a mechanism where I can develop quite quickly customized, tailored online training packages. Therefore I'd put them in as an option, so that everybody came to the course not only got the face-to-face stuff with the workbook and the notes and everything else, but also got access to 6 months worth of online training afterwards that was tailored specifically for that course. And it's a value add that didn't cost me nearly as much, but had quite a high perceived value for the client. So pull packages together. And then the last one in this is delivery. So in this, new, COVID-19 economy, how can you deliver your services? So how do you currently deliver your services? The big change for lots of us in the service industry has been moving from face-to-face delivery to far more online delivery. I've been delivering, I coach 70 business consultants around Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Been doing that since 2004. I've been using Skype and Zoom now, and GoToMeeting for a while in the middle, to do that for the last decade, or longer. Pretty much since day one, we were using those tools in order to deliver those services. Now, it's going to become more and more relevant now as people go, this is not too bad. We can get it. We can get away with this. So what are your options, to deliver face-to-face online? If you're a service-based business, can you do workshops? I used to do training programs and workshops and stuff, and I've run a number of online workshops in the past. But you start to learn to use Zoom and breakout rooms and lots of different things. You can actually start to be really quite clever in how you do some of this stuff to help clients deliver. If you've got physical product, you can have click and collect or takeaway, home delivery services, a whole range of different things that you may not have done before. I've got clients we're wholesalers. A number of our retailers are doing click and collect, so people ring up and they can come either come down to the shop and we'll leave the stuff out for them. They can come and pick it up. Either that, I noticed that one of the shops down here in Burley's, one of the women's shops, is saying, if you'd like to come in, just give us a call and we'll come down and open the shop up for you on special appointment. So there's lots of different ways to deliver services to people, and what ways are you going to pick on? All right. So that's the adapt phase. Any questions? I've covered a fair bit of stuff there, so I apologize for that. But any questions about how you might adapt your business and some of the things that are running through your head at the moment? We'll just take a second or two, and if you've got any questions, just plug them in.
Yeah, Russell, we did have one come through on Facebook, and that was someone who's a massage therapist. And she said, oh yeah, that's all well and good. But in massage business, you actually need to be there in person. So
Yep.
any ideas about, some possibilities there that might be helpful?
Well, I mean, I still get a regular massage, so some business you don't necessarily have to change. The challenges are that some of your clients may not have disposable income that they once had, and and I guess some options might be can you sell massage oils and train people in massage or do something else along the way. I guess it's about thinking through some of those things, but massage could be a difficult one to do. And I know there are lots of industries where there's been no option but to really just slow things down. And income has come back accordingly. But proper hygiene and all that sort of stuff. There should be no reason why you shouldn't be able to continue your massage business, maybe at a lower level than what it was before. I hope that helps, Nick. There you go. Somebody's put up here, massage, some gift certificates for stressed friends once you're open, that sort of stuff. So, how can we appeal to it? So before you might have been doing remedial massage for sporting injuries, you may now change your focus and be doing, massage to reduce stress. Lots and lots of stress out there in the community. I'm certainly seeing it. I turned on I don't watch the news ever, and I turned on the TV last night and saw something. It was the 7:30 report or something, and just the level of anxiety that those shows must be building in the community are just frightening. They're just massive scaremongering things. So there's lots of stress in the community. So maybe that's some options to do some different things. Okay, so that's any more questions? We'll keep going. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. An online course to teach people to massage their partners to relieve stress. Yeah, good thinking. So you might be able to do some online courses. I know of different people. I've got a client who's a videographer and photographer. He's been helping people with, who do Pilates and that sort of stuff and exercise stuff to actually create home programs for people so that they can exercise at home. I think F45, the gym thing, did that very early on, and they all sold little home exercise kits with it. So, thinking quickly can be a bit helpful. Yeah, massage for first responders. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. I got clients in Western Australia who are delivering meals. They're a restaurant and delivering meals to the ships that are tied up in Fremantle Harbour or wherever they're tied up. They're delivering meals out to those poor people that are trapped on cruise ships. And it's a really different style of their business. But that's what they're doing at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about then, we've talked about survive and adapt. We're in this thrive phase. So this is the next phase. And, we may move through, as I said, that rolling pandemic thing, but at some point things are going to get back to, I'll say normal, but it'll never be normal again, but they will get back to some level of normality. And how are you going to adapt to that? What are you going to do? And for lots of people, it might come on reasonably quickly. So I guess my thoughts here are, what, I'm sorry, I've just got something in the way here. I guess the first thing is to make sure that you're ready for it. And so I'm saying, to my clients, some of them were still in survival, some are in the adapt phase, and we're doing things. But every one of them, I'm saying, I want you to start thinking about, let's get ready for the recovery period. Because in some industries, not in all industries, but in some industries, there's going to be a fair bit of pent-up demand, right? When people can finally go back to work and do what they need to do, there's going to be pent-up demand. I was talking to some construction people the other day. They were saying their project's been put on hold, but as soon as they're able to start work again, they'll start work on that construction place. And their plan is to make up lost time. So they're saying you're going to need to be ready to go as soon as we give the thing. So give the start command. So really important that you're ready for it. And when I say ready for it, I mean really ready for it. So I would sit down and map out what our marketing is going to be. I would sit down and work out exactly what it's going to be, not just, we might send out some Facebook posts. I'd be writing the Facebook posts. I'd be setting up advertising you might do. I'd be building things now. I was talking to a lady in Western Australia 2 weeks ago. She has an event hire business, which of course has just stopped completely. And she's going to use the $750 a week subsidy for her employees to keep them out marketing and selling. So they're going to talk to all the people who cancelled events, going to stay in front of them, keep talking to them about when you're going to, your wedding, this conference, all that sort of stuff. And she said the scary part's going to be that everybody's going to come back in October when everybody's pushing back all the conferences and things to October. Everybody's going to be raring to go in October, which is it's going to be fairly scary, I would think, in that industry. So, could be pent-up demand, but you need to be ready for it. So what are your strategies going to be? How are you going to make sure that you've got good quality people to deliver? If you need people in your business to help you deliver, what are your strategies there? Because if you've let people go and you can't hang on to them, I think there's going to be quite a big cost for people who've for whatever reasons had to lay off staff. And I'm not being critical of that at all, because some people have had to lay off staff, but in all these things, there's going to be a cost in terms of how are we going to get some of these people, how are we going to get good quality people back again, and be ready for the turnaround when it comes. As I said, have a clear plan and execute it well. So, I'd be talking to the likes of Nick and getting your marketing plan sorted, get all your web and digital marketing, ducks in a row, get it all ready to go. So you're ready to press the button and launch it. And I would start, making sure you start, think about the thrive part now, and even start building demand at the moment. So you might be getting onto, podcasts and other places where you can start to promote your business and start to do things. So take the opportunities to do things you may not do, and use that to build that underlying demand. So when things come back, you're still front of mind for your target market. All right. And I guess the other thing is just remember that it may not be all taps open. So what I'm saying is this rolling pandemic could actually come, and we may have a loosening of the controls, but it may not be, the tap may not be fully open. You may just get, a little surge in business. And I'd be thinking through what are some of the scenarios we need to be thinking through and have planned out for these times. So tight government controls, and there's a scenario planning tool that I use to help out with some of that sort of stuff. And just thinking through, well, what are some of the likely scenarios, and how would we address them? So at least you thought through your action plans now for how that might happen. Okay, so I'm going to finish up a bit early, Nick, if that's all right. But we've got some next steps here. Couple of things, download our free guide. There's 25 tasks there. Just make sure that you've ticked off most of the tasks if they're relevant for you. There's lots of free resources on the website. We're here to help. Just lots and lots of resources there. Stuff on 90-day contact programs, which is the one thing I say you must do in your business, and I think it's something that you really need to do, certainly in this post-COVID-19 situation. So log on and get a copy of our 90-day contact program methodology. It's quite a simple but powerful strategy, and do that. And check out the other free resources on our website. Look, I'm really happy for you to book a call with me if you'd like. And I'm happy to share a link in the chat notes there. I say this quite genuinely. If you really want to talk to somebody about your COVID-19 and what strategy you've got going on at the moment, then I'm really happy to spend 30 to 60 minutes with you at no charge and with no obligation and no hard sell, because I think we're all in this together, and there'll be time for business later on. But at the moment, if you need a hand and you'd like to talk to somebody, then please take me up on the offer. I'll put a link in there in a little while. and yeah, definitely keen to help. So book a call with me. And then I guess the other thing is I'm part of an organization called Mind Shop, which is a support program for coaches. And Mind Shop and I have organized so that we've got between us over 25 different online business training courses. We normally plug people into those at sort of $200 a pop, but we're actually opening all those up for free to anybody who'd like to do any of the business online training courses for you and your team. Limit of 2 per person, but if you've got 60 people in your business and you want to plug them in and have them all do some training, then feel free to do that. And it's just, there's the link there, but if you just go to the shiftwith2fs.com.au, you will find that there's a link on the homepage there, and you can plug in and just register for your courses, and away you go. All right, and that's actually my lucky door prize, Nick. So there's no draw for me.
Excellent. So everybody gets the lucky draw, not just...
Everybody gets a lucky draw tonight. Yeah, everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. So that's me done. Thank you very much. Look, I just wish you all the best, and I'm really genuine in my offer. If I can be of any help and assistance to you, I'm really happy to do that. So either just pick up the phone and call me, flick me an email, or I'll plug the link in, and you can go to my diary and find a time for us to have a chat over Zoom. Yeah, lots of free resources on the website. Yeah, really happy to help out. Anyway, thanks again for the opportunity, Nick, to be here tonight and present to you. Thank you.
Excellent. And yeah, appreciate your time tonight too. There's been some really valuable information and insights in there, and I think some quite helpful ways forward as we're in business are looking at, what do we do? How do we sort of adapt in the current environment, and how do we prepare for the future? So, and there were some good comments coming through Facebook and on the chat here as well too. So thanks very much for that, Russell.
All right, my pleasure, Nick.
All right. So and also thanks, Russell, for the for that link there to those resources. It's a very generous offer, and I think sort of in current environment that everybody should think about availing themselves of that. Go and have a look, go and check it out, because anything we can do in business now to help us is a good thing. And I think also that, and I said this earlier on, is that if we put the same passion into our business today as we did when we first started our business, it's that sort of energy and passion that is going to help us to keep pushing forward and keep sort of changing and shifting and moving the needle. And I think some of the tools that are obviously there are going to help with that as well too. All right, the link's in. So Russ was just throwing a link into chat there if you want to book a time to have a chat with him as well too. All right, let me just share my screen again for the final bit. I would like to, but I've just lost all of my controls at the moment. All right, well I don't think I will share my screen because all of the controls have gone. Okay, and can everybody hear me? Oh. Can everybody hear me, or have we disappeared?
No, we can hear you, Nick. No, you're fine.
You can. Okay.
Yep.
No, my screen's just gone dark, so something's just happened here. That's okay. So thanks everyone for coming along and attending this Zoom. It does happen on a weekly basis at the moment. So the next one will be on Tuesday the 21st. So same time. And the Zoom link I think is going into chat. Hang on, no, it's not. I'll just throw it into chat now, so that if you do want to book in for that or pre-book into it, go and do that. Maybe I'll get JM or Lorena. Can you throw it into chat? My computer's just sort of slowing down here at the moment, so it's obviously getting a bit of a workout with the with Zoom here. All right, so any questions, any comments, anything that anyone wants to say before we wrap it up for tonight?
Nick, it's Russ here. I just have to say, I thought the technology tips were excellent. So I'm really glad I was here for them actually. Particularly
It's
the
all great.
source bottle and lots of stuff. I thought they were fantastic, Nick. So well done,
good,
mate.
good.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, thanks very much for everyone for being here. We've popped the link in the chat there for the next one. I'm not 100% sure what the topic is, but I believe we do have a speaker and a topic, so we'll announce that over the next few days. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Go and have a good night, and we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.